that's what it offers, just huge scale. So you're talking about billions of people's lives being changed.
Julia, thanks so much for joining me today. You've got the Wellcome Trust, where you're doing amazing things around scientific advancement, your work in education, women's empowerment, and still it seems like you have enough energy to do even more. So maybe you can just, what's driving you at this stage of life?
I should probably say you didn't see me before I had a cup of coffee this morning. That's possibly a bit of the explanation for the energy. But, you know, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You've got to keep learning. The Wellcome Trust, I get to learn from the scientists. The Global Institute for Women's Leadership, I get to learn from the young researchers. The women and girls in CamFed are just a source of joy and energy and ideas. And that really nurtures me and then gives me a new sense of energy and resolve that while so much is changing, we've got to also be making sure that these new ways of working, new technologies are being applied in a way that is lifting us all up together rather than dividing us more.
Oh, that was a mic drop moment.
Thank you. You know, education was the original love, you know, the sort of North Star that took me into public policy, public advocacy, propelled me with enough energy to ride the lumps and bumps and to get into politics. As Prime Minister, I pursued those policies as well. But in my time post-politics, I had to think through, well, if you still care about education, which I still did, what is it that you can do differently? And so that took me firstly to chairing the Global Partnership for Education, which is still the major multilateral fund that invests in school education in developing countries. And it also took me to being patron of the Campaign for Female Education, which is a role I still hold, and that's about supporting girls' education in Africa. And then the really powerful thing about the model is it keeps those girls together. And on average, the alumni give back enough money to the Campaign for Female Education to fund 3 more girls. So it's a sort of exponential model for change. Yeah, so it's exciting to be involved in, and they're really a force. But I know you're philanthropically interested in education too, aren't you?
Yeah, and actually quite similar. So my journey on education, really to give back, started in the year 2000. I went back to the orphanage where my father was raised, and I built a computer lab.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough, my dad was still with me, that he could come. He came with me, and everyone was like, oh, this is not the United States. You can't build a computer lab in 2 months. Look, the electricity goes off regularly. We don't have anyone to teach it. And I just remember my dad, one of my fondest memories of my dad was just in Arabic saying, don't discourage the girl. Let her show you what she can do. And what I found was I went to go say thank you for my dad, and instead I walked away with like a completely different career trajectory. I started a nonprofit with a former colleague and a friend, and it was really about how do you work with local nonprofits in under-resourced communities to help them develop the capacity to bring education technology in their communities. You had some amazing stats about education and literacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tragedy that, you know, in our world today, there are still, you know, hundreds of millions of children who don't get to go to school at all, and hundreds of millions more who only go for a very short time, you know, 2 or 3 years. And then there's the problem of educational quality. So in many parts of the world, kids might be attending, but they're not learning. And I think it is head spinning that, you know, we have amazing opportunities. I mean, you'd be much more at the frontier in this than me.
Yeah. And I think this is where the challenge we have right now with AI and the speed in which it's moving. How are we making sure that they're also getting the skills? We partnered with the Raspberry Pi Foundation to develop a program called Experience AI, which is aimed at 11 to 14-year-olds to understand what AI is, how to use it responsibly, We tested it in underserved communities in the United Kingdom because our belief was if we can develop it with our local communities, then we can scale it. But we need to target it at the right audience first. But again, this isn't any one company or any one country. I think we all owe it to the fact that AI is going to develop at extraordinary pace. How do we think about changing the educational policies and infrastructure, upskilling teachers and parents, and getting beyond the conversation of AI as a homework answerer and instead being an assistant to help you explore your learning in the way that you like to learn.
Yes, yeah. And that kind of community education task, I mean, actually Google is very well placed to do that because it's the place people turn for answers.
Yeah, I think we're at the very early stages now. And as the AI gets more factual and accurate, and we have an opportunity here to really do this right and do it in collaboration with leaders worldwide. One of the things I'm quite excited about is personalized learning, because I do think we can start from a young age all the way through career. What does personalized learning mean to you?
I'm a reader. I've always been a reader. When my sister and I were young, we'd go to the public library once a week. We'd come back with swags of books. And so if I'm trying to learn something new, I will always want to read and I can get my information that way. Whereas I know from watching my great nieces and great nephew, and they're much more experiential, much more likely to learn by, if you can 3D it and somehow build it, their minds work differently to mine and they will pick up something very quickly like that. I'll look at it, I'll still be bamboozled, I'll have to go and read it. And so it seems to me that if you then look at a classroom of children and you've got an idea about the skills and capacities you want them to emerge from a period of learning with, you could create the multiple or allow the students to create the multiple pathways with their AI tutor that'll get them there.
I think a lot about the journey we had earlier, decade ago, around adaptive learning, when we were starting to introduce computers into classrooms. First of all, teachers were really scared, and we had to remind them that the computers aren't magic, the teachers are. Yeah. But in order for the teacher to have the ability to engage with the class, each of the students needed to have a bit more individualized attention. So a lot of the adaptive learning, which was basically taking the same curriculum and just letting people do it at their different pace. And I'll never forget, I was in this one classroom and this little boy's favorite subject was math. And I was talking to the teacher about how engaged he was with the math game. And the teacher noted that actually math is his weakest subject.
Oh.
And it was because it was in that form that you said, in a game style where he was doing basic numeracy, that kept him engaged. So I saw computers be brought into the classroom in a way that it got kids engaged in the studying, but they were still on that same trajectory as everyone else. And I think what AI can do, much like you've said, is give me the content I need in the style I need it. And one of the things I'm really proud of that we've done at Google is we've done a lot of collaborative work with academic institutions, different organizations, to really try to take the best of learning science and fine-tune our models. We're actually taken all of that work that has been done collaboratively and infused that into Gemini so that now we can bring those types of learning science and capabilities to the broad public, which is really to be able to give more people more opportunity to reach their potential.
Yeah, that's must be very rewarding work, given your own personal journey, to be able to make that difference at such a mass scale. And that's what it offers, just huge scale. So you're talking about billions of people's lives being changed.
It is really extraordinary. I mean, we're building the legacy, and I feel so fortunate so many times to just have had the opportunities I've had, including this one today, speaking with you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
Thank you for such a great conversation, and amazing given we're really from very different places, but a lot in common when we talk about the values that have propelled us and the sort of life journey. So a really delightful conversation.
Yes,
Thank you for having it.
Thank you.